We can try to overcome the drawbacks of the CSS files approach with the help of inline styling. What is inline styling? With the help of inline styling, we should be able to apply the styling directly to the HTML element. Let me show you how to style an HTML element with the help of inline styles. Followed by, we can discuss on how to overcome the drawbacks of CSS files with the inline styles. Inside the footer.jsx, I'll try to duplicate this h1 one more time. The shortcut inside Mac, it is going to be Option Shift down arrow, whereas inside the Windows, it will be Alt Shift down arrow. Once I duplicated the line, what I'm going to do is I will try to comment the second h1 tag. For commenting the line, the shortcut is Command / in Mac, whereas inside Windows, it is going to be Control /. Since we are writing the code inside JSX, this is how the commenting is going to work. Next, I'll try to remove this class name reference because I want to perform the inline styling. So to perform the inline styling, we need to make sure we are invoking the style attribute. And inside the JSX, whenever you want to apply the inline styles, you need to provide the styles using a JSON object. That's why what I'll do is I'll mention one more set of curly braces inside style attribute value. The outer curly braces is to execute the JavaScript expression, and the inner curly braces we need to mention to create a JSON object. I'll try to apply the same my heading styling. So let me go to the my heading here. So these two I'll try to apply as part of my JSON object. Let me copy them and go to footer.jsx. Here I'm going to paste the values. We are going to get good amount of compilation errors. Don't worry, by following certain naming conventions and rules, we're going to fix all of them. The very first rule that you need to follow inside JSX while you're trying to apply inline styling is to use the camel case letter. So here we need to get rid of this hyphen followed by the first letter of the second word we need to convert into capital letter. So it will be text align. After this, we need to mention the value which is center in double quotes. Next, instead of semicolon, we need to mention comma because we are trying to build a JSON object. Now let me bring this color to the upper line. So color is a single word. There is no need of making any camel case modification. Next, I'll try to surround the color value with double quotes, followed by we can get rid of the semicolon. If needed, we can mention comma. So with this, the format is also taken care by my studio code. Now, before I try to go to the browser, I'll go to index.css and I'll try to get rid of this my heading. So let me comment this entire class. I'll also do the same for footer.css. Here also, I will try to comment this for your reference. Once the commenting is completed, I'll go to the browser. Inside the browser, you'll be able to see the heading under the home component. It did not receive any styling, whereas the header inside the footer, it receives the styling that we have provided with the help of inline style. This is one style of providing inline style. We are trying to provide the JSON object directly here. Instead of this, we can also try to create this JSON object outside of the component and we can try to refer the same. Let me show you that syntax as well very quickly by going to the home.jsx. Here, outside of the component, what I'll do is I'll try to create a constant with the name h1 styling, and to this I'm going to assign the JSON object. So inside the curly braces, I'm going to mention the styling values. Let me go to footer.jsx and I'll try to copy this entire content and paste inside these curly braces. So now I have my JSON object. This JSON object I can try to pass as an input to the any HTML element. So here we have this h1. Let me duplicate this. Followed by I'll try to comment the second h1. Next, I'll remove this class name. After removing it, let me mention style. Followed by I'm going to pass the JSON object name, which is h1 styling. So since we are trying to pass the JSON object as an input, we don't need to mention curly braces one more time. Only single curly brace should be good. So this JavaScript expression, it is going to evaluate what we have inside this JSON object. The same will be applied as inline style to this h1. Maybe what I'll do is I'll try to change the color here so that we can validate if the different styling is appearing for different headings. Let me mention hash 33, which is a black color. Let me save these changes. Inside the browser, my footer is not affected. It is displaying whatever inline styles that we have mentioned inside the footer.jsx. Now let me go to the top of the page, and this time here you can see the text is centered but the color is black because inside the home.jsx we are trying to use this inline styling. This way you can always apply the inline styling by using style attribute of the HTML element. With the help of this inline styling, we are able to overcome one of the drawback of CSS files. Inside CSS files, the scope is always global scope for any CSS class. If someone is using the same CSS class name, unknowingly, they're going to get the unexpected results. Whereas with the inline styling, the scope of this inline styling will be specific to this H1 element alone. No other element inside your application will receive this H1 styling CSS. As a next step, let's try to understand how to apply the dynamic styling which we are not able to achieve with the help of CSS file names. Let's imagine based upon some dynamic value, I want to control the color of the text that I have under this H1 styling. To bring some dynamic behavior inside my application, I'm going to leverage math.random function. Using this math.random function, I'm going to generate some random number. If this random number is greater than 0.5, this boolean is going to become true. Otherwise, it is going to be false. Based upon this boolean, I want to control the color value. Here, I'm trying to define some dynamic dummy condition, but this dynamic condition can be based upon your properties or based upon some value inside your component. It can be anything. For now, I just wanted to show you a basic example. As we make progress inside this course, we are going to apply the CSS dynamically with a lot of other conditions. We are going to explore advanced scenarios in the upcoming sections. So since I want to use this isActive inside my styling, I need to bring this object into my component. Let me bring the JSON object into my component. Next, under the color, I'm going to invoke the ternary operator. If the boolean is true, I'm going to use black color. Otherwise, I want to use some red color. So this is my dynamic condition. Let me save these changes and go to the browser. Inside the browser, as of now, I have black. If I try to refresh, I got again black. Let me try to keep refreshing. At some point, I received red color. That means the boolean value became false. This way, we can apply the dynamic styling. We can also apply this dynamic styling directly inside the style attribute. Let me show you that as well. For the same, I'll go to the footer.jsx and here, first, let me create the boolean. Once the boolean is created, I'll go to the style attribute. Using this boolean, I'm going to invoke the ternary operator. If the condition is true, this styling is going to be applied. Otherwise, I'm going to apply some other styling. Let me copy this entire content and paste it here. Instead of this color, I'll try to mention black color. Let me save these changes and go to the browser. Here, I'll keep trying to refresh the page. At some point, we should get black color. I'm assuming you got some clarity on how to use inline styling and how to overcome the drawbacks of CSS file option with the help of inline styles. Before closing this lecture, let's try to quickly revise the slides related to the inline styles. As we discussed, we can apply the inline styles with the help of style attribute that is available against each HTML element. You can pass the styling directly here, or you can also pass with the help of a JSON object which is declared outside of your component or inside your component. I have mentioned both approaches here. In the next slide, I have an example on how to apply the inline styles dynamically based upon a condition. Here I have a condition. Based upon this isActive boolean, I'm trying to control this background color, and the same boolean I'm also trying to use here to mention the value to the button that I'm going to display on the UI. There are unlimited possibilities on how we can make our React app dynamic. Throughout this course, we're going to explore all those possibilities. Here I have an important note around the native CSS properties while we are trying to build inline styles for our React components. In a scenario where if you want to use the same exact native CSS properties inside your JSON object, you just have to surround your key with single quotes or double quotes. If these quotes are not present, then you need to make sure you're following the camel case naming convention. Otherwise, you can use exact native CSS properties by surrounding them with single or double quotes. Here, I'm trying to use background hyphen color and border hyphen radius exactly without using camel case, but this approach is not used frequently. Inside React application, it is always recommended to follow the camel case naming convention. For single word CSS properties, the syntax remains consistent between the native CSS and JSX style objects. In the last slide, I have both pros and cons of inline style. Let's try to discuss them very quickly. With the help of inline styles, we can apply styling dynamically. It is going to be very simple. Based upon a Boolean and ternary operator, we should be able to implement this very quickly. And styles are also scoped to the specific element where they are applied to. Unlike CSS file approach, where the styles are going to be global scope, here the styles are always scoped to a specific element. Applying inline styles is always going to be quick and easy because we are directly interacting with the HTML element inside the JSX. There won't be any external dependencies on the CSS files or CSS class names, which allows faster prototyping. Next, moving on to the disadvantages. By using the inline styles with the plain CSS approach, you'll always going to put a lot of duplicate effort. Your code also will not have any reusability, increased inline complexity, which means your React component is going to have a lot of CSS code. And to apply this inline style, someone should definitely have good knowledge on CSS. Advanced features like pseudo classes, pseudo elements, and media queries are not directly supported inside inline styles. We can't write CSS styles on what should happen when someone hover or focus or before, after, and media queries as well. Inside this approach, CSS and JSX code, they are not separated. They both are clubbed together. In your project, if CSS code is going to be developed by some other person or by some other expert, then definitely this approach is not going to work for your project. I hope you got some good understanding on inline styles.